And welcome to Ducks Know Sports. This week, oh baby, we start our CFL previews as I preview the CFL East today. CFL East has been a pretty competitive division for the last couple years. And I honestly believe all four of these teams will have a real shot at the Grey Cup, going the Grey Cup this year, because that's how competitive it really is. But we'll start with last year's champs. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers had an interesting offseason, to say the least. From players going off on Twitter, to stadiums, to leaders on defense retiring or being traded. It's been an interesting offseason. But we'll start with the team's strength on D. I mean, they made a bold move halfway through the offseason by trading Odell Willis. You know, of course, had another off-the-field incident, so they said sayonara to Willis. And to me, I think that was a mistake. I mean, Odell Willis did a lot for this team. I mean, gave this team a lot of swagger. And even gave the nickname Swaggerville. You know, and with Doug Brown also retiring, there's your two leaders on defense, or at least two key leaders on defense, gone. And I think with Doug Brown retiring, I think they should have kept on to Willis. I know he might be a pain in the butt, but sometimes you just have to do that kind of stuff. And I would have kept on to him. Honestly, Odell Willis can still go. He's a one hell of a linebacker. And like I said, the clear leader on defense. And I would have kept on to him. And like, this defense was a strength last year, and if you take out keys like that, you know, you lose one step here, one step there, make it a little younger, yeah, but I just think it was a huge mistake. And with an offense, let's be honest, with Buck Pierce coming back, not the greatest offense in the world. And this team probably, like no other team in the CFL, depends on their defense, because they expect, I think people in Winnipeg coaching staff expect the Bombers to get a few pick sixes a game. Because that's some ways during midseason, that's the only way they were scoring. I mean, because on offense, you lose your least Fred Reed, who was your longtime running back. You bring back Buck Pierce. I'm not a huge Buck Pierce fan. I think he's too prone to injury. And a guy who I really don't think is really that good. I'm a bigger fan of their backup, though, Alex Brink. I think they bring back him, too. That's a smart move. And I can see a situation mid-season where Alex Brink is the starting QB. But in all, Winnipeg had a great season last year, was on great defense, and they just got by on offense. Everything came together for them. But I just believe it was lightning in a bottle, and I just don't see it this year. I could see a situation where Winnipeg goes from first to last, because they're just not a good... They're a good team, I'll say this. They won the Grey Cup last year. Obviously a good team, but I just think... I don't know if that was real, and I think it was more lightning in a bottle, per se. So I just don't have big hopes for the Blue Bombers this year, and I just believe that it's just on the cards for them to do well this year. Moving to the Montreal Alouettes. Montreal Alouettes, had an okay season last year, not a typical season, meaning that it means they actually lost a few games and didn't go to the Grey Cup. But last year, I think it was a big big distraction last year with all the Anthony Calvillo chasing all those records. And he has them all now, so that won't be a big issue this year. But I think Winnipeg. You look at Montreal, I still see they still have one of the best coaches in the league in Trustman, one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Calvillo, one of the best receivers in the league in Jamal Richardson. And yes, with Calvillo and Richardson, yes, they're getting older and older. And this might be it. This might be Calvillo's last season. I think this will be Calvillo's last season. And I can see a situation where this team just goes back to the Grey Cup, because they are so deep. I mean, Jim Popp is probably the best GM in the CFL. I mean, he does such a great job. And I can see... And this team is probably the best team in the East. I would say they're the best team in the East. as far as paper, I mean, they're so deep. I mean, like I said, Jim Pop, great GM. And every year, you gotta give Montreal Alouettes the credit because they're the best run team in the CFL. And until Calvillo retires, until Jamal Richardson goes away, this team is still going to be great. It's still going to be one of the best teams in the league. So it comes down to. And I can see a situation. I really like this team. And I can see a situation where this team gets back to winning, probably like 16 wins in a year. Sort of dominance. I mean, this team is a really, really good team. It might be the favorite to win the Grey Cup. And I really like the Montreal Alouettes going to this year. Moving to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Good offseason. I really like what Ticats the offseason. Cortez, new coach. Love him. I think he will bring another dimension to the Cats. A great offensive mind. More than I think, more than Belfay was. I mean, if you go around, you talk to NFL or college. I mean, this guy is one of the brightest offensive minds you'll find in all of football. I mean, you talk to guys like Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers, who was coached by him at the University of California. I mean, really great coaches. Groomed some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the game of football, just not the CFL. I think a great hire and a great guy for the Cats to grab from the Buffalo Bills. And also a few other changes. They bring in Andy Fantus, great receiver. I mean, a little long in the tooth, but I still think he has a few years left to prove that he's still one of the best Canadian receivers of all time. And, of course, new quarterback Henry Burris and a few other acquisitions on defense. But with Burris, I'm not the biggest Burris fan, I'm not going to lie to you, but after seeing him in training camp and after seeing him in the preseason, he looks like a man determined to prove that he still has it. And I really like Henry Burris this year. I think it'd be a situation where maybe this is the last kick of the can for Burris. They bring in like the old you bring in the veteran. It shows he still has one more kick at it. And I think this offense. I think Henry Burris. He doesn't screw things up. This offense is going to be great. I mean, you have guys like Chris Williams, Grant, who can get down the field. Other guys like a newcomer in Sam Shiger, Andy Fantus, and Dave Stala. I mean, this is gonna be a lethal offense, and with Coburn, who I still think is a good starting running back in the CFL. This offense is going to be good, and I think honestly, you can say they'll probably get like 24 points just coming off the bus. I mean, this could be, I think, the best offense. Maybe next to the BC Lions in the CFL. That's how good this offense is going to be. And on defense, you bring in Greg Peach from the Eskimos. I think great signing. I mean, a guy will bring pass rush help. And I just think another guy, will add to their defensive scheme. I mean, I really believed last year they moved to more of a... not more of an NFL kind of type, more running gun. A team that's going to they want to force more turnovers, more of an aggressive defense, which I think is good. And I really believe the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to have a good year. And I honestly believe this might be their best shot since '99 to go to the Grey Cup. And I see a situation where Henry Burris, last kick at the can, you bring in great free agents. It could be a special year in Steeltown. And I really like what Hamilton's done, and I think they're going to have a great year. And finally, the Toronto Argonauts. Last year, not their best year, per se. I thought last year they were going to the Grey Cup. Proved me wrong every step of the way. Couldn't get things on track. You had guys like Corey Boyd going off at the mouth. The quarterback situation was just a disaster last year. And they've done a lot in the offseason. They've done a lot of things. Bring in a new coach. They bring in Ricky Ray in from Edmonton. Giles. I think that was a mistake. I was stuck with Giles. I think you can get more to Giles. He brings another dimension to your team because he can also run. But Ricky Ray, that being said, Ricky Ray is a Hall of Famer. He is a future Hall of Famer. Like, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in CFL history, but he's not getting younger. And let's be honest with Ray right now. Who's he throwing to? Who? You know, they're bringing Barnes all season. They're hoping Dervy could turn to a good receiver, but that being said, like who's he throwing to? Honestly, who's he gonna be throwing to? I don't like Toronto Argonauts. Can they be a good team this year? Yes, they can be a good team, but I just think this is an uphill battle. I think this with a new coach. I think this is gonna be a learning year, and I just think I don't believe. Will they be a competitive team? Yes, I think they will be a competitive team, but I just think when it's all said and done, they will probably be again in last place, and I just don't believe that highly on the Toronto Argonauts this year. And better luck next year because I think Argonauts in for a rough year. All right. Preview all 4 teams. Now I'm giving you my rundown where every team I think will land. All right. I think in last place, I already said it, but I don't believe that much in the Argos, and I think they finished last place in the East. Number 3, Winnipeg goes from 1st to 3rd. You know, it's just too many distractions in the offseason. I think that will creep in, again, like I said, into the season. So not a big fan of them this year. Number 2, the Montreal Alouettes. I think we'll have a bounce-back year. And I think with Calvillo, like I said, with Calvillo not chasing all these records, I think it'd be more focused. Might be Calvillo's last year. And I think might go back to Grey Cup. But I think your winners of the East, who I think will go to the Grey Cup to represent the East, will be the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I like all the changes. I think with Burris, I think this could be a special year. And the last year of Ivor Wynne Stadium is going to be a sad day when Ivor Wynne is no longer around. Alright, stay tuned because next I will be previewing the West. Should be interesting, you know, with a lot of interesting moves in the offseason in the West. You know, BC, of course. But will be interesting. You know, stay tuned for that because I think the West is going to be a very, very interesting division as always. Till next time, I'm Aaron Duxman saying, I'm Dux, and I know sports. Kind of.